Opening song from our musician.
Good morning. How you doing? Good.
Are we gonna do the meditation, the 2-minute meditation, or are we not doing that? No? Okay. Yeah, we did it last week.
Some changes here. We have 2 minutes of silent reflection and centering. And now, some music.
Good morning. So, the lyric is simply, "Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way." So I sing, and then you respond, yeah? Let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me learn from all the ways I failed. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me learn from all the ways I failed. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me walk each day a little kinder. Love, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me walk each day a little kinder. Love, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me walk each day a little wiser. Love, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me walk each day a little wiser. Love, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy
Way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let my reveal a path of peace. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let my steps reveal a path of peace. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Our incredible musicians today, the maestro, Kev Choice, and the angelic vocals of Omega Ray. It just goes to show that here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, we covered all from the Alpha to the Omega. Well, hi, I'm Robert Leeds, President of the Board of Trustees and incorrigible punster. And welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And boy, are we deep in it now. And by it, I mean the midwinter season. This is the time of fruitful darkness, the time of stillness, quiet introspection, and hidden seeds that sprout in the dark. Cultures throughout the Northern Hemisphere for millennia have been celebrating this time of year as a return of the light. We had Diwali a month or so ago, which is the Hindu Festival of Lights. We finished up Hanukkah a week ago, another festival of lights. Last Wednesday was Bodhi Day, which celebrates the Buddha's enlightenment. And we've got the solstice coming up. Or the Yule, as the Wiccans say. And of course, there's Christmas. And here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, we recognize the one life that is the source of all these celebrations. And we celebrate our oneness with all of life. Welcome to all of you who brave the wintry weather to be here with us today. And welcome to our live streamers and YouTubers. Hi out there. A special welcome to anyone who's here for the very first time. If you wouldn't mind raising your hand, we have a welcome packet for you. Here up front. Thank you. If you'd like to connect with us, please send an email to Constance Chapman, our administrative coordinator, at constance@oaklandcsl.org. Now, let's take a moment to bless our children everywhere that they are. We honor all our youth and children in our community and the world. We love you. We see you. You are Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being in our lives, and so it is. Here are just a few of the wonderful things happening in our center. Next Wednesday, practitioner Zoe DeMuro will be speaking on the gift of a new journey. Meditation is at 6:30 and services at 7. Our Wednesday night services are continuing to be 100% on Zoom. Our candle lighting service is back in person, hooray. The service will take place on Christmas Eve, December 24th at 7 p.m. It will be both live and in the sanctuary on live stream. Join us for a sacred evening of readings, song, and light. Light refreshments, oh, there's a pun too. Light refreshments afterwards in the social hall. It's Board of Trustees application time, woohoo! Why are you laughing? Have you been a member in good standing for 2 years and have been thinking about serving the village in a new way? The nomination committee is looking for qualified candidates to run for the Board of Trustees at the annual meeting on March 4th. Applications are due to Deborah Jackson by December 31st. To check out the qualifications and responsibilities, download the application on the events page of the website, from the Village News, or I think we have some hard copies out here in the lobby. And we'll teach you the secret handshake. It's Teen Camp time. Centers for Spiritual Living Teen Camp leaders are excited to announce our virtual Winter Camp 2022. This virtual event is happening January 14th through the 16th with the theme, Make Room to Bloom. Registration is open until December 15th. Find the link and information on the events page. The compliance team is requesting that you please exit the sanctuary immediately after service using the exit doors. Our minister will be out, well, maybe not out in the rain, but somewhere out there to say hi to. Check the Village News for links to these and other activities. As always, for information on everything that's going on in our center, much more than we could share with the announcements at our website, oaklandcsl.org. Also, please, if you're in the sanctuary, please remember to silence your cell phone. Make it a silent night. And in fact, if you're at home, silence your cell phone. Give yourself a break. Please read along with me now as we do our mission and vision statement. And if you'd like to stand, that would be delightful. The vision of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to faithfully reveal the love and oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play.
Well, now I'm going to ask you to stand again because we're going to read welcoming in our new minister. And it should be up on the screen. There it is. There is only one life. The life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing and I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to reveal spirit, I therefore know that my minister is the revelation of God as wisdom. I further know that the new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by Spirit, for it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my mind now. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see the new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself, for I am inspiring unity in diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am healing and expanding our community and the power of love. I am engaging community in building a world that works for everyone. I am deepening my family consciousness. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister in my life, I know that they are revealed in a way that illuminates spirit and serves the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I'm grateful God is gracious, and so it is. Ashe. And now we have our two readings for the day. The first is from Ernest Holmes. Let us learn to be still and let the truth speak through us. To be still and know that the inner light shines. And the next reading is from Haven Trevino. Quiet the mind, be still, and watch the breath of God rise and fall in all things. Allow God's breath to be your breath. Allow God's nature to be your nature. And so as we notice our breath, I am breathing in God's goodness, breathing out God's good, knowing that God is simply all there is. It is elegant, it is excellent, it is beautiful, it is wisdom, it is love, it is connection and joy and beauty, and so much more. As I breathe in, I am attuned to the presence and the present moment, and I know that I am one with this one. And each and everyone here, all that are tuning in now or later, are a part of this service, bringing forth the wondrous love and beauty and goodness of God. And so I know that our speaker today, Reverend Katherine Saux, is blessing us with her beautiful words, divinely inspired. She is speaking the truth and sharing with us exactly what we need to hear. And I bless our musicians and all the technicians that bring this service out to the world, and our ushers, and all that have contributed to this fabulous truth and service that is serving us today. And so I give thanks for it, knowing it is done in the mind of God. And so it is.
I met a prophet, dark as the night. She could see into my soul, said she'd be watching and had some advice. She said shadows make you whole. A life without pain is a wolf in sheep's clothes. 'Cause if you listen to the lessons that it holds, you'll find the gold. Child, it's time to break the shell. Life's gonna hurt, but it's meant to be felt. You cannot touch the sky from inside yourself. You cannot fly unless you break the shell. I can remember when I was a child, how the grown folks seem so crazy. Why are they so angry? Why are they so loud? And when I grow up, that's never ever gonna be me. That was the moment that I decided that I would build a wall just shy of 6 feet tall, too strong to fall. Child, it's time to break the shell. Life's gonna hurt, but it's meant to be felt. You cannot touch the sky from inside yourself. You cannot fly until you break the shell. Courage is not being hard. It's time to peel back all of the layers you put between who you're meant to be and who you are, and be who you are. So much disappointment to finally understand that there is no such thing as perfect. We're all simply doing the best that we can. And if we have a choice to live or truly be alive, this is your life. Break the shell. Life's gonna hurt, but it's meant to be felt. You cannot touch the sky from inside yourself. You cannot fly until you break. Child, it's time to break the shell. Life's gonna hurt, but it's meant to be felt. You cannot touch the sky from inside yourself. You cannot fly until you break the shell. Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. Oh my gosh, we have the best. Don't we have the best? The best. Thank you, Omega and Kev. And our director of music, Andy Robbins, he's the best too. Yeah, Randy. And everybody here who's making this service possible. I'm Reverend Jerry. I'm holding down the fort for a while as we call forth this new minister or ministers into our community. So I am honored to be here today to introduce our guest speaker, who really isn't much of a guest. She's been around this community for a long, long time, and she's a dear friend and someone that I just enjoy so much. And so I know we're in really good hands as Reverend Katherine Saux shares her wisdom, and she is a wise and wonderful woman who has traveled the world, and she's just so filled with knowledge and the depth of understanding of these teachings here in religious science. So I'm very, very pleased to ask Reverend Katherine to the pulpit this morning. Thank you.
Some help.
Okay, there we go. There you go.
Are we set?
Good.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I really appreciate your taking the time and the effort to come out on this chilly, cold, damp day. You are stout souls. And hello to all of you lovely live streamers who decided to stay in the comfort of the house. And I don't blame you. Enjoy your coffee, but silence those cell phones and let us be together regardless of whether we're here in person or through the lovely technology that allows us to expand. I was laughing while Robert was up here because he was practically giving you my talk. I'm going, will you stop? You know? Anyway, it's the last leg, the last month of this year's entire journey that we've been taking to our spiritual magnificence. And it has been a very long road for many of us, I think. In fact, I think I would like to characterize 2021 the way our beloved practitioner Lynn Saux used to say, opportunity filled and character building. Thank you, Lynn. And as Robert also said, times like these really are fertile ground for learning how to navigate through the four kingdoms of consciousness that Reverend Jerry spoke about last week. Now, I don't have the slide that she did. She wouldn't give it to me. But I'll just do a very quick recap. If you don't know what the four kingdoms of consciousness are, it is the path of spiritual maturation and development and deepening. And it begins with the first kingdom, which is about to me. This is when I am thinking that everything happens to me by somebody else's fault, and I've got nothing to do with it except to suffer. Many of us have been there. So then you move to the second kingdom as you begin to learn about who you really are, and you take classes, and you come to spiritual communities, and you learn the power of thought and co-creation, and you begin to understand that the world can happen by me, that I can actually affect and influence and shape my reality. But there's more. As we continue to grow and deepen, we move into the third kingdom, and that is the kingdom of what we call through me. And in this kingdom is when we are living in the consciousness that I am a conduit, a channel, an expression for the divine to flow through me. So I'm not making things happen. I'm allowing them to be what they are. And then the fourth and final kingdom, which is the realm of the mystical consciousness. And we can get there. Very few of us live there, but I visit. Okay? And that is as me. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So, over this past year then, we have talked a lot in these different talks and the topics that we've had about finding our way through that victimhood consciousness, the to me routine. We've learned about how to claim our divine power by me. And then we have been encouraged and guided to release our egos through the surrender of the self to spirit, and that is through me. And Reverend Jerry spoke about that beautifully last week, the surrender of the self to spirit. So, on this final leg of the journey, now we're going to talk about that fourth kingdom, the as me. This is the last leg of that spiritual journey for this year. But before we begin, before we start thinking about making that push to the top, experienced climbers, for example, know that it's wise to stop, to rest, to take stock, to look backward over how far we've come before we look forward then to the next step. In mountain climbing, and indeed in any adventure, a critical step is to sit on the plateau quietly so that we can assimilate and integrate all of the ideas and the experiences that we have had in order to then rise up more fully prepared. So, as we talk about this last leg, and as Robert was saying, it's appropriate that we do it at this time, which is the time of the solstice, which is December 21st that day, but this whole period is all about that same thing. Because here in the northern hemisphere in which we live, we are moving into the deepest part of the Earth's cycles. Okay? Darkness is getting longer. The days are getting colder. Well, usually they have been, but who knows what's going to happen. But anyway, this is that time, when everything in the natural world is burrowing down, digging deep, hibernating, going into that place of darkness and stillness for the germination of what's next to come. And the solstice has been sacred, as Robert also said, for millennia. And it is the source of many concepts and myths about rebirth, sun gods from cultures around the world. And in fact, nearly all aspects of our Western celebration of Christmas, all those symbols that we use, actually have their roots from the Roman times when they had Saturnalia. The Saturnalia was a fall festival that was dedicated to the god Saturn, who was the god of sowing, the plenitude, the fertility of the earth. And all of these myths, whether they be about Saturn or something else, have two things in common: darkness giving way to light, and the birth, or a mystical, symbolic birth or rebirth, to indicate the assurance of life to come. So, it is truly a time of surrender and stillness. Cyclically, archetypally, naturally. It's a cosmic and archetypal pause in that eternal flow of life. And as Reverend Jerry said last Sunday, it's time to stand in the emptiness and be available. Available to what? Well, to that germinating power of life and love that is seeking to birth and rebirth itself again through us. It's time for the joy of becoming. Now, the origin of the word to become is both Old English and Dutch. In the Old English, the definition is coming to a place to be something new. And in the Dutch, it's we're going to receive something new that helps us become that. So, we'll talk a little bit about both of that. And at this point, I would like to admit that I had to really, really resist the urge to talk about the caterpillar and the butterfly. I mean, it is a fabulous metaphor. It is a metaphysical truth about how our spiritual transformation. It's great, it's natural, and it's been done a gazillion times. So my mission, and I chose to accept it, was to try to come up with a different way of talking about all of this. No more butterflies, okay? So instead, I'm going to begin with Franz Kafka. Now that's different, huh? But I ask you, please, in this moment, and those of you at home, if you will, to just allow yourself to sit quietly, and if you'd like to just close your eyes, because these words are powerful. So, and this is from Franz Kafka. You do not need to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table and listen. Do not even listen. Simply wait. Be quiet, still, and solitary. The world will freely offer itself to you to be unmasked. It has no choice. It will roll in ecstasy at your feet. Wow. Wow. Kafka may have written some pretty dark stories, but he certainly seemed to understand joy. He understood that ecstasy is a natural response to the stillness in which we recognize the allness of God. That place within the Most High, where that still small voice of spirit can finally be noticed. Now, while the fullness of God is always here, always present, all around us, seeking our notice, awaiting for us to recognize it, this is a great time, this time of solstice, to remember that, because as we metaphysically go within, to feel the stirrings of all that we are and the promptings of all that we can be, we can do this without leaving our rooms. In other words, by simply being open and receptive to the eternal life that is always living, breathing, dying, and resurrecting itself through us. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and come to that place of quiet glory, that deep joy, the sheer ecstasy of God in us now. Simply wait, as Kafka says. Allow yourself the luxury of being still and solitary and quiet and open, so that the beloved can whisper to you. But when I wrote those words, the luxury of solitude, I began to think about something really interesting. And that is that for us here in America, in this country, at this time of cosmic slowing down, we're speeding up. The commercial version of Christmas with which many of us grew up has us rushing into stores or rushing to click add to cart, whatever. But we're shopping. We're looking for presents. We have to, wrap said presents or mail said presents. We've got to go get a tree and decorate it. We have to hang the wreath. We've got to, all these wonderful things that have us moving at an even faster pace, which is completely opposite of what the earth is urging us to be and do. Interesting. Who has time to be solitary? That is a luxury, isn't it? I think that as I was thinking about this, it seems like the idea of not participating in the commercialized version of Christmas with all of its activity, but instead being that cosmic, deep stillness seems almost un-American. But if that begins to kind of tingle in you, I think it's helpful to remember the origins of all of these things and the symbols and the archetypes that they represent. Frankly, the presence under the tree, that represents the abundance of God. The tree itself and all the greenery that we use to decorate our homes is fertility, life. Okay? The lights that we place around our house and we place in windows is the light of the world, the light of consciousness, the light of spirit. The big dinner that we prepare for our friends and family, it is the microcosm of the abundant banquet of life that God gives and at which we are the honored guests. So, when the muchness of Christmas can get to you, as it sometimes does to me, connect. Make the connections to the truth, the deeper meaning. It's time for the outward to be expressed in and as and through the inner. That's what solstice is really all about, birth and rebirth. Now, here's another interesting thing that came to me as I was thinking about this and contemplation and the whole talk, and that as human beings, we are always becoming, always becoming. Life moves, it grows, expands, it moves forward, it has to. If you're not moving, growing, doing, being more, this flow of life, you're dead. Metaphysically, metaphorically, maybe even virtually, because life does not just sit still, okay? So we're always doing. Life on this plane, it's all about change, growth, all those good things. Sometimes it seems more like a roller coaster with those wonderful ups and downs, and we can shriek with laughter and delight, or we can scream with terror. And I have done both more than once. So, we're all about becoming. We can't not become. But what are we becoming? Wait for it. We are becoming gods. I'll say it again. We are becoming gods. Okay? To go back to our old English and Dutch definitions, We are here to become something new. And in this time of stillness and quiet, we are receiving the gift of the Word of God that guides us to our true divine nature. In Psalm 82 of the Old Testament of that Christian Bible, which was written about, the Psalms were written about 1,000 years before the birth of Jesus of Nazareth. In Psalm 82, God says, I have said ye are gods. Ye are all sons and daughters of the Most High. I just got chills again reading that. And then 1,000 years later, said Jesus of Nazareth, was talking to the Pharisees, and he was telling them the parable of the good shepherd and its flock, and the Pharisees were having none of it. No. They wanted to stone him for his blasphemy in declaring himself the Son of God. Jesus said to them, is it not written in your law, I have said ye are gods? He tells the Pharisees that the scriptures cannot be set aside, and they have no right to accuse him of blasphemy. So, yes, we are all gods in embryo. We are all gods in the process of becoming. We are floating in that cosmic womb of darkness and life, preparing ourselves to emerge, to be birthed into our greater yet to be. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, writes this in his lovely book, This Thing Called Life. If you don't have that book, get it. It's just a gem, okay? Ernest Holmes says, the power of God within us is like a sleeping giant, which must be awakened so that it may spring into action. Solstice, sleep. Spring, becoming. So how can becoming not be joyful when we are becoming sons and daughters of the Most High God? When we are coming into the recognition and appreciation of our true natures, our spiritual magnificence. And I did not make up that term. That term comes from our Centers for Spiritual Living Global Vision, which says, we envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, moving us through those kingdoms again, right? And then we also have, in religious science, a creed. It's called What We Believe. And that statement of belief includes this. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become aware of it. There is a beauty and a joy as we are on this journey to this awakening, as we come closer to the I am that I am, which is our inner essence and true nature. God's always at hand, waiting to be noticed, hoping to be noticed, wanting to reveal itself through us, as us. And there is that fourth kingdom, through us, as us. In religious science, we say, God in me, as me, is me. Now, I first saw that sentence scribbled by hand in the margins of a book this woman that I had just met had lent to me, and it was called Science of Mind. And I had no idea what it was all about, but I was flipping through this book, and I saw this handwritten marginalia, and it blew me away. God in me, as me, is me. Wow. Yeah. So, one last point about this joy of becoming that which we have always been. You know, I said that God is not only waiting to be noticed, it is hoping, yearning to be noticed. Here's a new idea for many of us. God wants us as much as we want God. And that is not blasphemy. Mystics throughout the eons have known this, and I will give you two quick examples of how they speak of it. One is Meister Eckhart, one of my favorites. God is like a person who clears his throat while hiding so to give himself away. Love it. Then the next one is from Julian of Norwich. God is thirsty for everyone. This thirst has already drawn the holy to joy. And we, the living, are ever being drawn from the well of joy and being drunk by God. And yet God still thirsts and longs for us. Good tidings of great joy. So in closing, let me say this. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, and say it with me. That life is my life now. Thank you. You know, I am not only becoming that life, God in me is that life in this moment, and the next moment, and the next moment. I am becoming and being that all the time. God is, I am becoming that which is, and life is good. Joy to the world, for the Lord has been here all along. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Let's anchor this. And I would like to, as we move into prayer, call Saux forth so that we can have our prayer box, which we are doing again, which is such a lovely thing. And I would like to ask all the practitioners and ministers in the room to just stand in place and add to this consciousness of receptivity and joy and love. So I go within to that which has always been, always shall be, unceasing, undying, which is my truth, my source, my essence, and it is that for everyone. And in that wholeness and love, unconditional, freely given, never withheld, what I claim and know is that the God in me is seeking birth now, and with prayer, I am in labor. And I speak a word now for everyone who has placed a request in this box, knowing, believing, and having faith in that yes, which is the only word in the universe. And the very act of placing the request is the answer itself. And I know that as we hold these in prayer and recognize the truth of it, the outcome is here and it is perfect. I know for each of us as we move into this time of solstice, of deepening, of the still darkness, which is fertility, which is potential. I speak that word that grants for each of us the willingness to step into the light, to germinate, to sprout, to become more than we have been and all that we can be. And I know that all that is loves itself as us and wants only the moreness of joy and beauty and kindness and compassion to flow, to weave itself through the tapestry of our lives. I also speak a word now for this month's nonprofit partner, Attitudinal Healing Connection, a fabulous group that supports mental, physical, and spiritual health and safety within our communities. Their teams of artists and educators know that it takes imagination to change the world, and that art is a wonderful tool to help create awareness, insight, and solutions. I speak a prayer for our mother, planet Earth, with such deep gratitude for her beauty and her endurance, and her resilience. And I speak this word knowing that there are many and more all the time understanding the gift that she is and caring for her. I bless our youth, not only in this community, but around the world, all the young people with all of their aspirations and their newness and their willingness to take that leap into becoming. I bless all of those who have been in service today and around all churches, temples, synagogues, sweat lodges, where we are all working to make a world that works for everyone. I claim love, comfort, and healing, the wholeness of God for all those impacted by challenges. For Errol Jackson, Gordon and Sandy, Taylor, Madeline Farr, Jerry Arbogast, practitioner Joyce Lamar, David, Loretta, and for her sisters, because Loretta has now this opening to health and wholeness, and her sisters, Regina and Mareda, and all of Loretta's family, peace of mind as they continue to support Loretta. And I speak that word of healing, comfort, and wholeness for Sean Boomer, knowing the vitality of God is right there where he is. And this is Robert Leeds' brother-in-law. So we bless Robert as well with comfort in knowing that all is well. I speak a word of transition and peace and God's comfort for Janet Gale. Peace of mind, comfort for Debbie Mars, her sister, and the entire family. In this place of prayer, in recognition of the goodness of God, I invite each of us to hear the little knocking on the door of people who wish to have a word of prayer spoken. Please speak their names out loud to yourselves, to the world, and let them enter this healing space. And as the words continue to be spoken and the names recognized and the awareness of God called forth, I am grateful. I give great thanks for the perfect flow of good, manifesting itself that are right and perfect for each person according to their need and their heart's desire. So with gratitude, I let this be. I take my hands off this prayer. I release it into that law of mine, which has been tapping its foot and waiting to spring into action. And it does now. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Saux. And now it's time to take that wonderful consciousness of the yes of God and turn it into the yes of prosperity and abundance. This is a time when we acknowledge and support and nourish this spiritual community that so loves and nourishes us. So it's the time of giving. Jerry, may I borrow your little thingy here? Yeah, because I don't have one of these. But so, you know that everything we give comes back to us multiplied, pressed down, and running over. So dig deep and help us help ourselves be that which is all we can be by providing the financial prosperity that allows Oakland Center to do what it does. There's all kinds of ways to give, and I'd like you to take your offering, whether it be real, imaginary, future, and say this with me. This gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses creation. And so it does. Thank you. Thank you. Oops.
My destiny has been fulfilled. by you, fulfilled by you, God. And my search is over, and I rest in thee. Every path has led to this moment. Every step I have taken has led me to this higher place. Everything that I've ever done has served me to see God's holy face. My destiny has been fulfilled by you, fulfilled by you. And my search is over, and I rest in thee. Past lives, they make no difference. Future lives, they don't concern me. Future and my past are rolled into this moment. In God is eternal. My life in God is eternal, and I am free forevermore. My search is over, and I rest in thee, in thee. I rest in thee. I rest in thee. I rest in thee. Ooh, something in me knew this all along, and my life is a melody of God's freedom song, and this life is sung by the heavenly host. I rest in thee. I rest in thee. Ooh, something in me knew this all along. My life is a melody of God's freedom song, and as this song is sung by the heavenly host, I rest in thee. I rest in thee. My destiny has been fulfilled by you, oh, fulfilled by you, God. And my search is over, and I rest in thee, in thee. Oh, I rest in thee. I rest in thee. Oh, I rest in thee. 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 Thank you.
Thank you, Omega Ray and Kev Choice. Beautiful, uplifting music. And thank you to everybody who put together this service. Our lovely Katherine Saux, and our techs, and our ushers, and somebody came in and turned on the heat, and now it's finally warm. Thank you. We have prayer in the back of the sanctuary. So I'll be standing back there with my red hat, directing you to practitioners. If you'd like to pray, we like to say, don't take home a problem, take it to prayer. And if you have a joy you want to share, and gratitude, that we're available for that too. So remember when you leave to go out right after the service through the exits, and there is a bounteous basket. Oh, you can go out the back exit, and I don't know if you can get around the tree there, but this one's open. There's a basket here for you to put your offerings in if you wish. Let's see, I think we're going to have our affirmation up on the screen in a minute. It's in little tiny print, but I'll see if I can read it here. I sit in joyful expectation of the revelation of God, and so it is. Amen. I think we're going to have one more song.
If we could all stand for the closing song. I know it's not customary for us to touch anymore, but if we could just look around, smile at someone, connect with someone. Excuse me if I'm a little subdued. I just really got some horrible news during the service, and this has happened before, so I'm just trying to push through it, but just make sure that we connect with each other, connect with your loved ones while they are present. I appreciate the service. I appreciate this community.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Happy Sunday, 12/12. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day.